Today I am going over gaslighting a little more in depth. I already went over it some in my video about trauma bonding, but gaslighting is such a huge thing and it is so much more than a lot of people realize, so I want to give it a full video of its own. And because I mostly talk about narcissism on this channel, I am going to relate gaslighting to narcissists, but it is not exclusive to narcissists, so just, be aware, be careful, always put yourself first. If a situation feels bad, bail. If you are new here, my name's McGann. I am not a doctor or any kind of mental health professional. Please do not take anything I say as medical advice. I just consider myself to be kind of a narcissist whisperer because I've spent my entire life around these kinds of people. So I know their tricks, I know their games, I know their tactics. And my goal is to help some of you figure out the situation that you're in so that you can save yourselves. So when people hear the term gaslighting, they often think of something that would be really easy to figure out that it's a lie. For example, if you go outside and you're looking at the ground and saying, "My gosh, this grass sure is green," and a gaslighter comes up and goes, "No, that's purple. Why are you saying that's green? That's purple," until the person being gaslit is so confused and doubting their reality so hard that they believe grass is purple. And that can be gaslighting, but that is such sort of a broad stroke that it fails to pick up on all of the many nuances that gaslighting can include. So while you might hear that color scenario and think, well, you grew up your whole life knowing that grass is green, so how could somebody ever convince you that it's purple? I mean, gaslighting is really a lot more personalized than that in a lot of cases. And it can actually feel like a really positive or addictive thing while it's happening. For example, if a narcissist comes up on somebody and starts telling them, "I love you," when they don't really mean it, that's an example of gaslighting. And if you try to push back and say, "No, you don't, we barely know each other, blah, blah, blah," the narcissist will keep going harder and harder. "No, I love you, 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 I love you," until you're sitting there as the gaslit person going, "Well, they've said it so many times, why would they be lying?" So saying "I love you" can be gaslighting. Telling somebody "I never said that" is gaslighting. And my mother is the queen of revisionist history. I mean, constantly. My entire life, I can remember this woman as young as me being like 2 or 3 years old, looking at me and going, "I never said that. Why are you saying that? Why are you such a liar? Why do you make stuff up all the time?" When I can still remember what she told me, because a narcissist really, really hates it when you challenge them or question them, and they also can never be wrong. So if they told you something and it turned out to not be true, or they didn't mean it or whatever, it is like trying to nail Jell-O to the wall to get them to admit to it. And it's not like a normal conversation where you come up to somebody and say, "Hey, it hurt my feelings when you said this," and they go, "I don't remember saying that," and you have a conversation about it, and maybe they don't remember it, but they're still not dismissive of your feelings and your opinion. A narcissist is very much, "I'm going to dismiss and deflect." So one of the examples I have was, "Hey mom, remember how you said you were going to help me with a down payment for this trailer by the college I'm going to? I never said that. Why would I say that? That's so stupid. Whoever told you that? Why do you make this stuff up?" She even ended up turning to my father and saying, "Did I ever say anything like that?" And he turned back around and went, "Yes, you did, and you shouldn't have." And that was the one and only time I ever saw him contradict her. And I can only imagine how horrible she treated him for punishment for that. So for a narcissist, the truth is whatever they need it to be right there in that moment. And they will make you feel crazy and stupid until you're wanting to secretly record all of your conversations just so you can prove that you're not a liar. And similarly, if somebody is trying to make you feel wrong or crazy or stupid when you start calling out their behaviors, that's also gaslighting. There was a guy I was talking to, I felt like we were dating. I don't know if he feels that way really, but he came in, he love bombed me. I got very emotionally addicted to him. And as soon as I was into him, as soon as I was leaning into all the "I love yous" and "I want us to be together" stuff, he started reining it back and pulling back his affections and attentions. And anytime I would call him out on it, like, "Hey, I feel like I'm getting a big neon flashing sign that says he's just not that interested in you," Or I would say that I don't think he has room for me on his plate, or I think I'm some kind of fantasy distraction for him. You know, anything I said to try and bring it down to reality, to what it actually was, he would go, no, that's not it. I'm just busy. Or no, that's not it. I've got the kids this weekend. Or no, that's not it. I've got classes. I'm stressed out from work. I'm so tired. I fell asleep. He always had an excuse. And sometimes he would even like call me names or laugh at me. Like I sent him a very long message about how I feel like I'm chasing somebody who doesn't want to be caught. And his response was, ha ha. And he said more after that, but just the fact that he started that out by going, ha ha, tried to make me feel stupid. But like I said, anytime I would try to figure the situation out or nail down a real answer to what was going on, he'd just be like, no, you've got it all wrong. I'm busy. And yeah, he was with probably 100 other women, but he'd keep insisting to me, no, you're the only one I want. I love you. You're the only person I'm talking to. And so I started to doubt myself for doubting him. And that is major gaslighting. Then there's future faking, which that guy I was just talking about was very, very big on. And I mean, he was planning out how many kids we were going to have and what their names were going to be. And he kept acting like he was shopping for a house that would be big enough for all of our children, because I have kids, he has kids, and he wants more kids. So he would ask me things like, how many bedrooms do we need? And I'd be like, oh, 20. And I'm being serious. Why aren't you taking this seriously? And I'd say, oh, this is grounded in reality now. And he would insist that, yes, this is what he wanted. This is what he was going to make happen. This was going to be our new life together. And it was all gaslighting so that I would lean in and offer him narcissistic supply, which narcissistic supply is basically emotional energy that the narcissist can vampire out of a person. And there was one point where we were talking on the phone, and I asked him if he ever found the motorcycle that he wanted. He was shopping around for motorcycles. And his response was, yes, but I decided to save my money because I've got this new house that I want to buy for my new family. And I remember asking him, oh, who's that new family? And he got upset with me about that, but he did clarify that he was talking about me. So it was just a constant swirling vortex of, we're going to do this. We're going to be together. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it happen. But ultimately, it was all a bunch of BS to him. He didn't mean any of it. He wasn't saving any money like that. He wasn't shopping for houses. He didn't really want to have kids, I don't think. But he was doing all of that to sound committed, so that way I would trust him and get hooked on him more easily. And one of my friends actually had to sit me down and point out that he was gaslighting me in this way, because I would go, oh, he's trying to do this and he's offering to do that. And he said he was going to put me on his bank account and all of these other really strange, specific commitment-like things. And my friend looks at me and goes, yeah, he's offering to do that, but what is he actually doing? Like, what is he actually delivering on? And there was nothing. In my case with this narcissist, I kept seeing the red flags in his behavior and calling them out. And he just kept endlessly apologizing to me and reassuring me that, you know, oh, just schoolwork and the kids, that's all it is. I love you. Everything's great. You're perfect. We're going to be together forever kind of stuff. Just constantly slapping that reassurance button on my arm until I was falling for it. And it always sounded plausible to me, especially since he had these really, really detailed descriptions for what he was doing or what he wanted. It just never struck me as something that a person would lie about. Like, what is the benefit? What is the end game here? I don't think he had one. I think he was flying by the seat of his pants, just trying to get whatever attention he could, because a narcissist is basically an attention addict that wants to turn everybody else into an addict for him. And women can be narcissists too, so be aware. All the same though, there was just so much gaslighting going on that I really stopped questioning why he wasn't contacting me after work. You know, why was it that once 5 p.m. rolled around, why was he dropping off all contact with me until he was back at work the next day? I immediately thought, oh, he's got a girlfriend, or he's living with somebody, or he's not actually separated from his wife. But he kept telling me, no, I've got classes, I've got kids, I'm so tired, and I love you, you're the only one I want. That I stopped questioning it after a while. And if I pushed back and he went, I love you, you. And I went, no, you don't. Or he said, you're perfect. And I said, stop it. He'd call me dismissive or abusive and act like he was the victim. But in hindsight, he 100% did not mean a word of what he was saying to me. And he was just irritated that I kind of saw through him and kept refusing to play along. So I was becoming too much work, because when a narcissist first comes in and they love bomb you and you're getting attention 24/7 and you feel so great and you feel like so addicted to that, that's when a narcissist has their mask on, and it's very difficult for them to maintain that mask for very long. So it starts to slip and slip and slip and slip, and then it's off, and they're like, crap, they've seen my real face now, I gotta run. And this dude would also talk to me about how he wanted me all to himself, and how, monogamy was so important to him that I should delete my dating profiles and not be looking for anybody else because I was the one, we were gonna do this thing together, blah, blah, blah. And that led me to assume that he was being monogamous to me, when really there was a lot of evidence to suggest otherwise. It just took a while for me to absorb it and accept it. What he had neglected to mention is that he had a living girlfriend for the last 4 years, which he had also been separated from his wife for the last 4 years. So he basically said, I'm leaving you, honey, and jumped right in with another honey. And yet in that 4 years that he had been separated from his wife, he had never found the time to get divorced from her. And part of the gaslighting is they won't tell you that up front and directly. They won't say, this is my situation. They may tell you exactly what's going on or what they do to people, but they'll drop it in these little breadcrumb, almost like bubbles. It's like they've got the wand and they blow out all these little tiny bubbles that go all over the place. And so you see over here, oh, I'm married but separated. And then later over here, you see, oh, I'm stuck living with somebody, but I'm trying to get out of it. And then you see over here, oh, by the way, I have a baby with this person that I'm not at all romantically entangled with. And because it's delivered in these little tiny increments, which are usually surrounded with hundreds of other bubbles that are like, I love you, you're perfect, let's be together forever, oh, I'm never leaving you, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, we're gonna have this wonderful life. So you're looking at these hundreds of bubbles, and most of them are positive, but there's a few red bubbles in there, red flags in there. They're so dispersed out that you kind of ignore it, because that is part of the gaslighting process as well. And then after a while, between the gaslighting and the extreme emotional highs and lows, you become actually addicted to that person, because the way that they're treating you sets off the same parts of your brain that control a gambling addiction. So the example I like to use is the narcissist is a slot machine, and you're just walking by minding your own business, and all of a sudden a jackpot falls out of the slot machine. You didn't even put a coin in. There's just this jackpot that falls right in your lap in front of you. So you scoop up those quarters and you start putting them back in the machine and trying to play more and more and more, except you're not getting any more jackpots. And every so often the lights on the machine might go off and a few coins might fall out, but you're putting in way more than you're getting back out. But then you're like, all right, this thing is obviously not going to pay off again. I'm just going to cut my losses and leave. You stand up and another jackpot just falls out on your lap that you didn't even put a coin in for. So after a while, you've gotten so addicted to this process of lose, 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 win a little, lose, 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 win big, lose, 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 that kind of intermittent reinforcement has made you addicted to that slot machine. And unfortunately, part of the jackpot that falls on your lap and makes you very addicted is the gaslighting, where they are convincing you that you have this perfect world together. And if you have friends or family members who are getting in your ear going, this is dangerous, we see your personality shifting, we don't like the way this guy behaves, we want you to get out of this, your narcissist is going to come in and gaslight you about that and say, oh, they're all against us, baby, it's you and me versus the world, I need you to be my ride or die. And that's where a lot of people fall into the trap of this relationship, and it is very difficult, almost nearly impossible to break free of it. I mean, even being self-aware of what gaslighting is and how it impacts your brain and everything else, I still fell right into it. And I watched myself doing it. I said, he is trauma bonding me, he is gaslighting me, now he's trying to make me addicted, he's doing this, he's doing that. And it still did not change how my brain chemistry responded to what was happening. So being self-aware is not enough to save you from gaslighting or narcissism. That's like saying, then I am aware that I have an alcohol problem, so I can handle drinking this entire bottle of whiskey. That's not how alcoholism works, and that's not how an emotional addiction to another human being works. So if you're in this situation, be patient with yourself, make small steps for changes, always be cautious. And of course, if you're on the other side trying to save somebody from a gaslighting situation or any other kind of toxic relationship, be patient. Because the person in it, whether they are woke to the situation or not, they are doing the best they can every day, and sometimes they can only think in terms of making the next right move. So it might take years and years of you giving them evidence and pleading and begging before they actually get away, but it takes an average of like 7 tries before a victim of a narcissist is actually able to break free of that narcissist. But we are listening, we hear you, and what you tell us helps us and makes us stronger, even if we don't get to implement it right away. I hope that this has been helpful for some people who maybe didn't understand before that gaslighting doesn't really feel negative. It doesn't really make you feel crazy necessarily while it's happening. It can feel really good. It can make you feel like you're in love. It can make you feel so happy. Because if you're somebody who responds well to being praised or getting a lot of reassurance, a gaslighter is going to come in and throw a ton of that your way in a very short amount of time, and some people are just going to be helpless against that. And as always, I'm leaving you with my favorite piece of advice. Always put yourself first, because a narcissist is always going to put themselves first.